Well, good morning, everyone. 21st of April. It's a Friday, so it's prediction day. And I got to tell you, there's some interesting conversations go on in the office. A bit of a goosebump day today, watching what's going on. It's as exciting for us as it is for you out there as well. Sebastian does all the written reports on Facebook, the daily updates in French and English. And he's getting into the swing of making predictions as well. And I've got this happening here, and it's getting very tense, I got to tell you. Anyway, that's the predominant feature that you're seeing on the map at the moment. This low pressure system that's causing some confusion for Abolish. And Kirsten's on fire, and Simon's sailing really well, but he's losing ground to Kirsten at the moment. She's tailing him and catching up big time. So a lot's going on. Anyway, where do we start? Where do we start? Not that one. Sorry, I'm supposed to be on here. So yeah, it's very exciting, and it's very hard to call, but I will make a prediction at the end of this. And it's kind of interesting when you look at what's going on with Abolish. He's heading away from the mark, you might say, and that's because he's coping with the weather. He has to look after his boat. Kirsten's doing something. I'm not sure what it is, but she's been flying, absolutely screaming. She's on fire. Maybe she picked up a message from somewhere and told her where she was, and that's changed the name of the game for her as well. But anyway, the reality is that we're potentially a week away from the boats being on top of Les Sables d'Olonne. So next week's prediction will be easy, I think, but nonetheless, it may not either because they're neck and neck. So anyway, enough of waffling on. Let's get into the new reality of what's been taking place in the last 24 hours. And I'm going to leave you in suspense while we come down to Jeremy and Captain Goog. So, and by the way, jeepers, I forgot to get Guy's information. I'll do that tomorrow. Today's supposed to be a Guy day as well, but there's so much excitement. I just realized I forgot to check his tracker, which you can actually do by getting onto his Facebook page. It links to the website, and you can check out his tracker anyway himself. He's making pretty good progress, but I'll bring it up specifically on tomorrow's session. Sorry, Guy. And Ian is not off the ship yet. There was a bit of a delay getting permission for the ship to come in and get bunkers, fill up with fuel. But I believe it may be happening today. We've got Rianne and Peter, our volunteers down there, going to meet up with him and look after him and drive him around. He's still got his passport, so that's not too bad. He'll all those sorts of things. So anyway, as soon as we get him there, we'll be doing Rianne will get together with the team and do a live with him. So we'll get that up probably sometime soon when we know he's definitely off the ship. Okay, so Jeremy, 1.6 knots, hooked up, just dragging his way towards the equator. He's only 47, 48 south, so he's still got a little bit of way to go to the equator, but nearly there. And 1.6 nautical miles an hour right now, 1.6, not fast, and he's done 58 nautical miles in the day. So it's all pretty slow progress. But anyway, he's nearly there. So there's the equator staring him down the face, and he's in the doldrums, but it's wide open. I mean, he's not going very fast at the moment, but there's breeze around. So I think he'll probably sail through it pretty reasonably. If we come forward a day, there's a day straight away. There's more breeze there. There's a gradient coming in from the trades, and then there's the northeasterlies at the top. So he is going to potentially ride through this, and that should be worth 3 knots, something like that. And the next day on the 23rd, he's still got breeze. So yeah, let's have a look what the clouds are doing, which will tell us how bad the thunderstorms are, maybe. Yeah, they're around. You can see these patches here. There's stuff when there's rain that's even more intense. So there's definitely squalls about, usual doldrums deal. But when you got wind like that, it should be a lot less when you got a wind gradient. So I think we'll see him sail through, and he could be, if we look at the distance there from him to the other side here, 200 miles, 3 days. Within 3 days, he's going to be across, and he'll be in the trades and making good progress north. So that's cool, but he'll be also shocked at how uncomfortable it is and how wet it is, all that sort of stuff. You just got to ask Goog, where is he? Over here. He's just going through a bit of a hollow at the moment, 4.2 knots. 86 miles in the day, but it's coming from the right direction. So that he'll be happy with that. He's not bouncing around anymore. He's out of it. And that's a huge change for him. So he'll be, if we come back, you'll see he's on the tail end of this big pressure system. Okay, this is the one that's driving the 3 leaders in the fleet. He's just hooked up to the tail of it. Oh, hang on. That's not quite right. I always forget to come back. Okay. I thought it was a bit quick. I said, why didn't I see that yesterday? So he's got a bit of a hollow in front of him. That's why he's slowing down. And that's come through a day. Excuse me. Then it's going to come around behind him. So that's not too bad at all. The good news is he's out of that sort of northeasterly trades that are causing him all the trouble. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. So that's on day 1, and then day 2. Excuse me, for good. Pretty much more of the same. Can't see that. I came back to see where he was on the thing, but he's sailing. It'll be pleasant sailing for him, very pleasant. So we'll expect to see him probably make 75-mile days for the next 2 days, so 150 miles. Then he's into it, and this system should hang around. It's a pretty big one. If we go a couple of days, he's still got this southwesterly gradient that he can lock into and keep moving. So he won't be, let's see how far he is. He lost a bit of ground towards Kirsten because she's absolutely pumping along. But we'll just see where he sits. 1,200 miles used to be the benchmark. Then it went to 1,350, and now it's 1,450. And partly because Goog slowed down, Kirsten's taken off. So he's, but still in touch. He'll be, that's 12 days behind once they cross the line. So that's it for Goog, enjoying the ride. Now what's going on here? This is very interesting indeed. So I've got Windy up in a minute as well, so I'll show you what's going on. First of all, for Abolish, there's no question the only reason he's got his northing in that course is he's coping with the sea state and the wind and the waves and so on. He's not following any routing information that GGR might have given him. He's just settling into that wave pattern. And, he's if you look at where Les Sables d'Olonne is, Les Sables d'Olonne's over here. So he's sort of sailing away from the course. There's no benefit to come north when you've got a low pressure system like this. It's not going to lead into anything that wants to send you up here so that you can then crack off with the big winds. It's just not, it's just not in the game. So the reason he's doing it is because of the sea state and the weather. Now, if we come on to... if I come back here and I can show you Windy. No, that's not right. Oh, this one. No, that's not right. Sorry. Where's Windy? Here we go. Okay, so this is Windy, and this is his position right now. So you can see there, he's got 26 knots of wind from the southwest. It's not extreme. Waves. About 4.4 meters. That's pretty reasonable waves. And wind gusts are now picking up to about 35, 36 knots. So it's like back in the Southern Ocean, but the temperatures are a bit different. And that's enough because he's got to look after his boat. He knows he's got a boat that's prone to, it's getting tired. I mean, they're all getting tired, and Abolish has got to keep it together. And I think that's what's happening. He's trying to keep the boat as excuse me, as comfortable as he possibly can. If we look at what's going to happen in the next few hours, right, it's going to go up to 38 knot gust. This is gusting, but it doesn't get, and the wind direction staying the same. 38's it, and then it starts to back off. But that's 24 hours from now. So there we are. They're not quite 24 hours. Next 18 hours. That's what's happening. And the sea builds up to about 5 meters at one stage. If we backtrack it, 5 meter seas. 5.6, so it's a pretty reasonable sea. Wind strength, forecast wind strength is still really benign. It's not getting up there at all. It's just there's gusts. Okay, so it's not extreme by any stretch of the imagination, but it's keeping him busy. Okay, so if we come back to it, and that's why he's heading up there. I think he realizes he's got to look after the boat. Maybe also he's got a jury-rigged rudder in the wind pilot, which he said is still working fine, not working as well as it should. Maybe he's got to balance this course with that as well, but it's not doing any favors right now. He's making, jeepers, he's picked up in speed. That's the first time I've seen 7.3 in a long time. the last sort of 12 hours or so, it's all been 6s and 5s, but he's flying now. So maybe that's why he's going up there. I'm not sure. 38 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. So that's not too bad. Then Kirsten down here, she slowed down. So there you go. She's still doing 6.7 knots, but she'd actually been managing over 7 knots, like 7.2, 7.3, 7.4 for the last 18 hours. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, there's a spring happening here. It's just I'm sounding like a mess, but anyway. Yeah, so she slowed down. She's been flying, and she's on fire for sure. And it made a difference. She caught up a bit with Simon. Simon's doing 5.6 knots, 143 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. Maybe he's slowing down to be courteous to Simon and to Abolish and Kirsten. That's a joke. I'm just playing a bit of fun here. Simon is going really good, and he's sailing home in Chichester class. And he's in cruising mode, self-confessed cruiser, absolutely moving with a hoot as well. So that's where we sit. Now, where does that put them on the course? On the course, if we look at what's going on, where they're going, they're heading over to Les Sables d'Olonne, and the rum line is coming down here. I would like to suggest that Kirsten is actually in front on the course. She's in a very good position. Abolish is lagging a little bit behind on the water, especially in relation to the weather. So we'll go into moving that forward in a minute. Let's look at the leaderboard. Leaderboard now, Kirsten's got 875 nautical miles to go, and Abolish has got 919 to go. So that's about 44 miles. And you remember previously, like 2 days ago, Kirsten was behind on the leaderboard and behind on the course as well. So she's actually moved into a very interesting position. And I'd say quite clearly she's in a commanding position, in my opinion, right now, which is very interesting. Leading into that, we had a meeting yesterday, and all these boats, or Kirsten and Abolish and also Simon, we've got the polars of the boat. It's gone into a routing program. This is a computerized program where it's accepting the weather data. So it'll look at the real-time live weather forecasting and what's happening now. It looks at the potential speed of the boat for any course that it's taking, and it comes up with the best possible course for the boat's going to Les Sables d'Olonne. And the prediction is, as of yesterday at about midday, that Abolish would arrive in Les Sables d'Olonne about a day ahead of Kirsten, and Simon would be ahead of Abolish. And I pointed out the fact that, well, that's true. And normally if they're racing in the Vendée Globe, then the boats would be following the routing program and always going where the computer tells them, and everything makes sense. There's two problems with that routing program, because I said, look, don't bet your bottom dollar on Abolish, because Kirsten's really in a commanding position in my interpretation of the weather. And the important difference is with a routing program is that the skippers themselves they don't have a routing program. They make their decisions on where they're going to go and what they're going to do, not necessarily based on the perfect weather. So they'll do it based on their weather on the day right there and what they're thinking about the boat and so on. So they're not going to follow the routing track, best performance all the way back. They're going to do their own thing. And that's exactly what's happened to Abolish now. He's not doing what the routing program might have suggested he should do. And so he's looking after the boat, looking after the conditions, because he's got to finish to win, all those sorts of routines. And then the weather forecast itself will change over the next, 8 days or so. And so it's still a bit of guesswork, a bit of art, a bit of science. Okay, so it's very hard to come up with a prediction. Anyway, let's come back to this and see what the weather's going to do in the next 24, 48 hours. And that will show us what the skippers are likely to do. So I'm now clicking this through. See, Simon and Kirsten are very much in a simple, established southwesterly wind, maybe a little bit west of south, so west-southwest, but generally that way. Abolish has got a slightly stronger breeze, and the gradient the direction is about the same, but it's stronger. But it's dropping off pretty quick. So when you look at it 12 hours away, I think Abolish will still be involved with that particular course, because he's still involved with that particular weather. So he's going to go a little bit further north, maybe, but you'll certainly see him start to peel off to starboard and come back on the rum line heading towards Les Sables d'Olonne. Simon and Kirsten are going to just carry on. They're just on the rum line. I'm not sure what forecasting they're getting. We'll get a bit of an update with them on SoundCloud the next day or two, what's happening with their weather information. Kirsten should be getting weather maps, right? Because FAX is working really well, and they should be getting weather reports on the radio as well from Portugal and so on. So the first 12 hours there looks pretty straightforward, and I think that'll just, again, for those 12 hours, it'll put Kirsten in an even better position in relation to Abolish. Going through now, everyone's got a nice breeze. Abolish, he should miss this low wind area. He'll be up here a bit, and Kirsten is going to be coming along here. So plenty of breeze, plenty of direction, and it's going to keep moving on the run line. So that's pretty much day one. So day two, coming along again. Abolish may get hooked up in this lot here. So there's a calm there. He may slow down for 6 hours or so. If we look at that, I'll bring it to day two. So, okay, so that's 48 hours in front. So 48 hours, Abolish is flying there, 7 nights. He's probably going to do 250-mile days, generally speaking. So that's 250 miles. He could be 300, let's say 280 in front of his current position there. So if we go 280, okay, he might just get across there. Okay, it depends. I wouldn't like to predict that because he's going to go north a bit and then probably peel off a bit. This may impact him, but it shouldn't impact Kirsten. I'm not sure whether she'll cut Finisterre really tight or what her run line is, but for her, if we go 250 to 250 to, say 250, roughly in that sort of direction, that's about where she'll be. She may just miss that. Abolish may lose 10 miles, 15 miles, something like that, which puts them even more side by side. I have no doubt that in 2 days' time, Abolish and Kirsten are going to be side by side. And this is where it gets tricky because, okay, so we'll drive it forward a little bit further. I'll try for 3 days worth of predictions on the weather, which is always risky. Especially when you see this big hole coming across now, it's going to catch up with Abolish for sure. And depending on where Kirsten is, she may get a better deal there. She may not be as impacted as bad as Abolish. This is the third day out. If this weather forecast is correct, towards the third day, that's going to, well, in fact, they're starting to suggest it's going over all of them. So it might hold it together and that they all might get slowed up a little bit. Because that's only 2.5 days out. So this is now on the 24th. So there we go, 3 days out. So there's a bit of a waffle in the breeze on 2.5 days out, and then it comes in again normally. So and at that stage, so 3 days, 300, about 440 miles, I reckon, would be potentially pretty cool to accept that, over the 3 days. So that's Kirsten's going to be sitting off here somewhere.
Looks like your Wendy's stuck on one screen and the messages are coming in.
Oh, okay. Right. Oops. Jeepers. Okay. I stuck it on Windy. Here it is. Okay. I'll go back here. Sorry about that, everybody. Just as I'm explaining everything in detail, I forgot to get it back on the track here. Okay. That's a bummer. All right, I'm not watching the messages on the side, and Jane wasn't in the room. She's back in the room now. So, boom, boom. Okay, I think I better, now I've got to go back up here again. That was Georgie that came in to, oh, that's not the one. Georgie came in to let me know. That's annoying. Okay, so you didn't see any of that happened. I think the best thing to do is get rid of that, pull the weather back here a bit. I was speaking about Abolish on the involved with the weather. Okay, quick update. You may have heard that. It's like listening to the radio. There he is there, impacted by this low pressure system here. Kirsten and Simon have got straightforward breezes there on day one. If we come through day one, Kirsten, Simon still on the southwesterly breeze. Abolish is, he'll be in here somewhere, so he's still sailing okay. They're both doing okay. Then 2 days out, Abolish is going to be up. Okay, so that's 2 days out right there. Abolish may be just across the other side here and getting a little bit impacted by this no wind zone. and then Kirsten should be coming across here with less impact. Okay, so she'll be sailing, might pick up another 10, 15 miles or something. But they're side by side. Okay, they're, Abolish will be around here somewhere. Kirsten will be around here somewhere. That was the distances that I'm putting up there. And then we progress through to day 3. Okay, so that'll bring it up to 800 Zulu on the 24th. So by the time we get to there, this is day 3. Okay, and at day 3, it's going to be about 400 and something miles. Okay, so here we go down here. So for Kirsten, 440 miles, say, is going to be right about here somewhere. Okay, and then Abolish, she'll be probably about the same. I reckon they'll sort of more or less do the same thing, and he'll be coming across. So 440, you're going to see they're both entering the Bay of Biscay side by side. That gets it up. Sorry about the muck up with the screens, everybody. But I'm as excited as you are, and sometimes I'm distracted. But anyway, so they're going to be sitting here. This is 3 days. Normally, I wouldn't go any further to predict what might happen, but there's no question that there is a very consistent airflow, and it's great for the sailors. There's no traps, no holes. Now it's the Biscay, a completely different cup of tea, right? And that's where it gets difficult to predict what's going on and give any real indication. But let's just say, boat for boat coming through here, the Russell 36 over the Cape George 36 has no advantage whatsoever. All right. I'm quite convinced that it's going to be boat for boat. They're going to both end up here entering the Bay of Biscay side by side, and the race starts all over again. Now, I know I say that GGR is more of an adventure and it's the human stories and all that sort of stuff, but this is a boat race now, and it's really getting quite serious. So what's the weather going to do? I'm not going to talk about what the boats will do, but let's talk about the weather in the Bay of Biscay. Now, to do that, it's better. I think we're going to. I'm going to take you over to Windy again, if I get this right. I'll try not to forget the screens, because Windy is a little bit more accurate and it gives you a little bit more information. So we'll forget about where Abolish's position is now, and we will. I'll just build this up. That's too big, maybe. No, that's okay. Okay, so Les Sables d'Olonne is just in here. Okay, that's where Les Sables d'Olonne is. In fact, I'll put a marker there. Here we go. We'll just put this just offshore Les Sables d'Olonne. That's near enough. And remembering, here's Finisterre, and Abolish and Kirsten are going to be side by side right there. So we're just going to talk about rolling the weather through. This is after day 4. So we're now 21. So this is day 3. So that was 3 days out, rather. Okay, so 3 days out, they're going to be around about here, okay, on the 24th. And we're saying that they're going to get in on the weekend of the 29-30, and Simon will probably get in on the day before. So you can see the breeze is following them in a little bit there. It's following them in into the bay. That's pretty good. Look at that. Here we go on the first, the very next day. So we're now coming into a situation where they had a good push getting in there, and then this turns up. Right now, all of a sudden, now you've got potential reaching, or depending on how the hook goes around, headwinds. If you're down here cutting the corner, you've got a nice breeze, and I'm pretty confident that Kirsten will be getting weatherfax maps, all right, as this is happening, and she may well predict and see that she could try and maybe sneak up along the bottom here and then reach up, depending on what's happening. This is an influence. It's getting very confusing. And what this tells me, there will be winners and losers, right? Someone's going to get an advantage. They're not going to be on the same system there. That's going to drive everyone nuts, right? Including me, because you'll be saying, "Oh, Abolish, come on, hurry up, Abolish," or "Oh, come on, hurry up, Kirsten," things like that. And then you can see how it changes. So if Kirsten was taking the inshore route, then it's like, boom, okay, that's not bad. You cut across to Les Sables d'Olonne. If Abolish was taking the top route up here, coming this way, it's not so bad. It's still pretty good. They're sailing, it's 4 to the beam, but not bad. The waves are down low because it's not big winds, there's only 1 or 2 meter seas, so that's kind of cool. And come back to the wind, so that's on the 25th. We keep pushing through. You can see how quick it changes. Look at that, bang. Now it's got favorable light winds in like half a day, and you think, okay, we've got to run in. This is the 26th. They'll be getting close. Oh, now the wind's dropping again. Everyone's parked. they're doing 2 or 3 knots, people are just going to be going burlesque. I will be. So it's just like, what's happening now? Oh, they become. Oh, here comes a breeze. Oh, it's a headwind. If you're up here, it's trying to come down. It's well forward of the beam, tacking, all that sort of stuff. If you're down here, you park down here, you can reach across, sail a lot faster with the wind on the beam. So the Bay of Biscay is a real nightmare for sailors in this sense. Usually it storms. We're happy it's not storms. And we're now on the 28th, so Simon could be getting in, but he may park right here just by the finish. I've got to say, Simon doesn't have a finish line, by the way. He's not crossing the finish line because he's obviously stopped. And we don't calculate the first part of his time and then the second part of his time and then how long he spent in Port-au-Mont. So Simon doesn't have to worry about crossing the finish line. He's just sailing into the marina. But Kirsten and Abolish, completely different. They're after that finish line. And the finish line extends offshore. So you can see these last days, if this forecast is correct, is just going to be all over the place. Look at that. Bang. That's in 3 hours. It went from wind to no wind, and now it's coming headwinds. And now, this is the 29th. Did Abolish get in first, and Kirsten's struggling now to get to the line because it's got headwinds or no wind as you get closer? Or was it the other way around? It's crazy, okay? And this is the weekend when we're expecting them to come in. And I think it's looking as if, when you see how fast they're going now, approaching the Bay of Biscay, it's looking as if, Simon's going to get on the 28th and Kirsten might get the 29th. Believe me, anything can happen in here, and none of them may get in by the weekend. I think they will, but it's going to be very frustrating. Look at that, 2 hours, and it's all changing. Every one of these is just 1 hour, okay? And see how the wind's all over the place. So where does that leave us, okay? And I'm going to go through the comments in a minute just to say good day and see what's happening here. Where's my prediction? What's happening? Okay. I'm being unbiased in my prediction. I think Kirsten is holding a commanding lead at the moment because she's got boat for boat with Abolish going through to the entry of the Biscay. That's my prediction. I'm not going to the prediction of the finish. I'm only going to the prediction of the entry into the Bay of Biscay. And they'll be side by side. So why has she got a commanding lead? Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. So now we've got everything. Okay. So I'm not sure what's going on here. Jeepers. Okay. Now, am I on the screen? I think I am. Solo on. I should be on the screen.
You may be full because I read the comment later.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully there. Anyway, you'll be able to hear me. The reason I'm saying Kirsten's in a commanding position is that I am absolutely convinced that Abolish and Kirsten will enter the Bay of Biscay side by side. Kirsten has a 23-hour compensation for the rescue of Tapio, and basically, oh, you missed the whole windy piece. Jeepers, you're kidding me. Just this side comment. Okay, I'll pull it back in a minute. Today's a nightmare. Because of that, I think going into Biscay, can Abolish take out a full day on Kirsten? Now, it's I'm reading the comments. I'll come back to windy in a minute. I'll do all that again, so those who are getting bored can go. But yeah, because of that, I'm saying Kirsten is in a really seriously commanding position, and my prediction is that they will be side by side going into the Biscay, and therefore, she may be first across the line. So we'll have to wait and see, and I might not have to do a prediction next Friday because they'll be right on top of the finish line. So there we go. Anyway, so you can all leave now, but those that want to see the windy again, I'm just going to come up with the windy just to show you the Bay of Biscay one. This should be windy. You should have windy on your screen now, hopefully. Okay, so this is the windy screen. If someone wants to send me a message if you haven't got windy, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so I will now. I've got to get my windy screen because I've got a control panel here that I work, but I can't really see what's going on. So we'll bring it back to day 4. So this day 24th rather, which is 3 days from now, and then we've got the breeze. I'm going to push it through every hour. You can see the southwesterly breeze is coming into the Bay of Biscay. and that'll help them get even further along the track, but it certainly won't help Abolish because they'll be boat for boat. And I don't think the 36 has got an advantage. The Russ has got an advantage over Kirsten at that point. And then it starts to get really confusing now. And this is the thing to watch. Every time I press the button, so they'll now be coming into here somewhere, you'll see the dramatic change in the wind direction here in the Bay of Biscay. There's Les Sables d'Olonne over here, okay? And every time I push it, there's massive changes, right? I think you can see the wind direction here. It's coming up from the southeast now. You got the southwesterly behind. You got no wind over here. It gets even worse as we go down. And this is where I'm predicting, how can the routing program even think about trying to predict the winner yesterday when you've got all these wind changes and the skippers aren't following the routing program? So it comes down to an interpretation. This is the art, science, and a bit of whatever. But every click is another hour. Look how it's changing. It's dying off. It's coming to the southwest. Then it's, you got a whole new pattern down here. It's just crazy. So this is just going to be so intense. And you can see it's just 1 hour apart. It's just crazy. This is on the weekend of the 29th. Now all of a sudden it's got headwinds here, coming off the coast. If you're trying to get this way and that's happening, boom. 1 hour later, it's all disappearing. Look at that. It's completely changed. It's 2 hours later. It's now coming from the north. And there's holes back here. And so this is going to be the luck of the draw. But is it worth a day for Abolish? Can he pull out 24 hours on Kirsten coming through here to get in front? So dare I say it, it's going to be a very intense week. So having muffed up everything, I'm just going to quickly go through these comments to see if anyone wants to scream at me too loud. It's working. No worries. No, Abolish secret sale useful when reaching. Yes, it is. But is it worth 24 hours? I don't think it is. I think the winner and loser will be, well, first of all, Kirsten will be winning technically entering the Bay of Biscay. What happens after that is impossible to predict, but he's got to catch up a day, right? And that's a big ask, but not impossible. Right? So it's pretty amazing. Okay, please change the screen. Yep, sorry about all that. Carbon copy of the Sydney Hobart race. Ooh, yeah. I wonder when Kirsten and Abolish will become aware of each other's position. I'm not sure. I understand correctly the AIS, but without all the information. Yeah, they can't read their AIS. Other ships can see them, but they can't read it. Okay, someone needs to be watching the live feed. Yeah. Jane was, but she had to anyway. Don, get someone to watch. Yeah, we usually do. Fortunately, Georgie saw that, but Jane left the room. It's Jane's fault. It's not my fault. The window screen is not changing. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. It all sounds very interesting, but hard to follow without the screen. I agree. Jeepers. Okay, I'm muffed up. Stuck in the windy. It's frozen. Yep. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, there's a lot of comments anyway. I'm not seeing any questions. Thanks, Georgie. Yep. It doesn't make the day. Don's expression. Okay. All right. I think that's it anyway. We've got questions and answers. Question and answers is still up there. We're getting a few on there. If there's a lot by today, I might answer them all today, or I might answer it tomorrow. So that's it. A bit too long, 33 minutes, jeepers, but it is intense. So thanks for watching. Sorry about the muck-ups, and we'll see you tomorrow, and I'll be more awake.